end of the street, where the asphalt faded into dust, lived a boy named Billy. His house wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the loudest either. But it always felt as if something inside it was unfinished. Billy liked that feeling. After school, he never rushed home. He walked along fences, kicked pebbles, watched water race through the gutter. Sometimes he imagined he was far away, on a raft, or in a city that didn't have a name yet. One afternoon, he sat on an old wooden chest behind the house. It hadn't been moved in years. Billy leaned back and watched the clouds. One of them looked like a ship. "Come on," he whispered. A pebble near his shoe rolled. He ignored it. Another rolled. Billy frowned. The pebbles weren't moving downhill, they were moving toward him. He stood up. The yard was completely still, no wind. The pebbles stopped at his shoes, lined up, as if someone had placed them there. Billy stared at them, slowly. He stretched out his hand without touching them. One pebble shifted. His heart jumped, not from fear, but from that electric feeling when the impossible suddenly feels real. He lowered his hand. The pebble stayed where it was. Billy sat down again, but this time he was staring at his fingers. Maybe this summer wouldn't be like the others, not out of fear, but because if he said it out loud, it might disappear. The next day at school, the board was covered in numbers, but Billy's mind was somewhere else. Inside his backpack was a small metal nut he had taken from the yard. A test. "Billy," the teacher called. "Yes?" "Can you solve this?" He stood and walked to the board. As he passed his desk, he thought about the nut, about movement. His backpack tilted slightly, not enough to fall, but enough to shift its weight. Billy froze, just for half a second. Then he continued. The numbers blurred in front of him, but he solved the problem correctly. He returned to his seat, slowly opened his backpack. The nut lay on top, as if it had climbed there by itself. After school, Billy went to the old shed by the river. Dusty, quiet, safe. He placed the nut on the ground and stepped back. "All right," he whispered, "let's try." He imagined it rolling, nothing. He tried harder, still nothing. He exhaled sharply and then relaxed. The nut turned. Just a little. Billy smiled. This wasn't a trick, it was practice. Over the next days, everything looked different. The pencil on his desk, the chair, the kitchen table. Not just objects, possibilities. He made rules. Never at home while Mom was around. Never at school, only in the shed, alone. He lined up pebbles and bottle caps. When he forced it, nothing happened. But when he imagined the movement as already done, that's when they listened. One afternoon he placed 3 pebbles in a row. The first slid, the second followed. The third hesitated, and then moved too. Billy stood up suddenly. Wait! He wasn't just moving them, he was directing them. His pulse quickened, not from fear, but from the scale of it. This was something bigger than a game. Footsteps sounded outside. Everything stopped. "Billy, you in there?" It was Tom. Billy nudged the pebbles aside and opened the door casually. "What are you doing?" Tom asked. "Just thinking," Tom smirked. "In this shed, you're always thinking." Billy laughed, but something tightened in his chest. Secrets have a way of slipping. That night he stared at the ceiling. What if you can't stop? For the first time, sleep didn't come easily. The next morning he woke early. His room felt full of possibility just to see. He imagined the pencil sliding to the center of his desk. It moved. Billy's stomach dropped. He had broken his rule. He picked up the pencil and put it back with his hand. Then he stepped outside as if he needed air. On the way to school, Sarah looked at him. "You look like you dreamed something strange." "Maybe." At school, he kept his hands folded, as if that might quiet his thoughts. During recess, a younger child's ball rolled under a bench. The child couldn't reach it. Billy felt the pull, that familiar pressure before movement. He clenched his jaw. "No!" He bent down and picked it up with his hand. "Here." The child smiled and ran off. Billy sat down slowly. Maybe strength wasn't in moving things, maybe it was in choosing not to. Days later, at school, he built a tall tower from magnetic tiles. The top piece trembled, shifted, without anyone touching it. Billy didn't react. He calmly took the tower apart and rebuilt it. He imagined the final tile perfectly centered. It slid into place. No one noticed. Later, a pencil fell to the floor. Before he could bend down, it lifted and slid back onto the desk. Billy's heart beat faster, but his face stayed calm. During snack time, his cup slid a little closer. Outside, a chestnut rolled toward his shoe. He imagined it returning to the tree. It did. This wasn't a game. It was a door. And Billy wasn't sure how wide he should open it. The next morning, excitement buzzed through the classroom. A large box of new toys had arrived. Bright wheels, magnetic tiles, small balls, shiny strings. Everyone crowded around. "I'm first." "No, I waited yesterday." The box tipped. Toys spilled everywhere. One wheel rolled fast toward the door, right into the walkway. Billy saw it and felt the pull. He focused. The wheel curved mid-roll, made a wide circle and stopped neatly by the wall. No one reacted except one girl. She stepped closer. "Did you see that?" "What?" "The wheel. It's like it listens to you." Billy met her eyes. He didn't deny it. "Sometimes I wonder too." Later, the children built a tall tower from magnetic tiles. It wobbled dangerously. Billy stepped forward. He imagined each tile aligning. One by one, they straightened. The tower held firm. "That's the coolest tower," someone shouted. Billy stepped back. The girl watched him again, thoughtful, not accusing. Secrets don't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes they arrive with a glance, and that made him even more careful. That same afternoon, they prepared the hall for the celebration. Chairs were arranged in neat rows, paper stars taped to the walls, string lights stretched overhead. Children ran everywhere at once. Billy carried chairs, straightened drawings, picked up fallen sheets of paper. One row of lights sagged on one side. The teacher reached up, but couldn't quite fix them. Billy looked at the lights. He imagined them tightening evenly. The string lifted. The lights straightened and glowed in a clean line. No one noticed, except the girl. Later, she approached him quietly. "Can you always do it?" "I don't know," Billy admitted. "Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't." "And can you stop it?" Billy paused. "Yes," she nodded. "Then it's like holding a kite. Pull too hard, it falls. Let go, it falls too." Billy smiled. He liked that. He was beginning to understand it wasn't about how much he could move. It was about balance. The day of the celebration arrived with music and laughter. The hall was full. Parents filled the seats. Decorations shimmered overhead. Billy sat perfectly still, his hands folded neatly. Midway through the performance, one decoration tilted dangerously. Billy noticed. The teacher was leading the song and didn't see it. He imagined the decorations straightening. Then he stopped pushing. It settled and held steady. Applause filled the hall. The girl stood beside him. "Not all secrets need to be told," she whispered. "Some need time," Billy replied. The next week something shifted. This time it wasn't objects, it was people. During playtime, 2 children began to argue. "You never listen! You always decide!" Billy felt the familiar tension, but it wasn't aimed at a toy or a tower. It was between them. He didn't move anything, he simply spoke. "Maybe we can try both ways." The voices softened. The game continued. Billy realised something important. It wasn't about how many things he could move. It was about how he could shift a moment. One rainy afternoon, the power went out during class. The room dimmed. A few children gasped. The teacher moved toward the window. Billy felt the familiar urge, the instinct to fix everything at once. But this time he took a breath. Instead of doing everything, he imagined just one thing. The curtain cord was swaying too close to a candle. It shifted slightly away from the flame, and nothing else. The room remained dim. The teacher lit a small lantern and calmly continued the lesson. Billy felt steady. He didn't need to control everything, just what mattered. That evening, walking home, the sky glowed orange. The world felt ordinary again. Dust on the road, fences, the old wooden chest behind the house. Billy sat where it had all begun. A pebble lay near his shoe. He didn't move it. He simply looked at it. The pebble stayed still. Billy smiled. His strength was real, but stronger still was the choice of when to use it. He stood and walked home as the sun sank lower. His ability followed him, not loud, not wild, just present, like something that didn't need to prove itself, like something that was still growing,